I am going to be Switzerland.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Deep Dive Zone, a Sonic the Hedgehog rewatch podcast for fans of all shapes and sizes. As usual, I'm your host Devin, joined by my comrades Lauren and Bruce, and today we are bringing you the final episode of our Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog coverage, starting with Episode 56, The Little Merhog. Sonic and Tails help a mermaid hedgehog named Myrna save her underwater city from the wrath of Captain John Paul Memo. So this probably could have been the same underwater city from the other episode, but now we've got Girl Mermaid Sonic, which is weird.
Yeah. What about the design for their queen? Something else, isn't it?
Oh boy. This show is weird, okay?
Yes, it is. On another note, yes, Captain Memo shows up, which apparently is another one of Robotnik's associates from his past. They went to school together, apparently. Although, interestingly, in the thought bubble, they show both of them, graduating, but Robotnik didn't finish school, which either means they screwed up continuity again, 0 out of 10, or they went to, some villainous academy, which I'm going to headcanon.
Maybe they got, their GED together.
Maybe. But Captain Memo has a gimmick, because all one-off characters have to have a gimmick, where they take memos about every little thing, and I kind of find it funny, and then it kind of gets repetitive, and then it was kind of funny at the end again because it's Stockholm Syndrome or whatever.
Yeah, it's not very good.
Interesting thing though that is about Captain Memo that I did like was that they show up at the beginning, and there's no Robotnik to be seen for 7 minutes. And I'm like,
yeah,
what? Are they shaking up the formula?
Is he not in this episode?
I legit wondered. Well, it's not just Robotnik, it's not Scratch and Grounder either. It's none of his minions. But then he comes in halfway, which is an interesting change of pace to be sure.
I will say kudos to Robotnik's submarine, because throughout this series we've talked about, the design of Robotnik's machines. This is the first one that feels correct in that it has his face plastered all over it.
I absolutely love the submarine design in this, yes. It is very entertaining in his battles against Memo.
They totally recycle the periscope jokes of it hitting him from the other episode, though.
I do appreciate that they had him have the same naval captain outfit, though, because I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a battle between him and Memo that is completely over the top. And I like that when Scratch is interrupting him, he refers to it as the most significant naval battle in Mobian history.
I wonder what other contenders for that could be.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe it wins by default.
Episode 57, Road Hog. Sonic and Tails are arrested for speeding as a result of Robotnik having hypnotized the law through pollen. Sonic just accepts the ruling. This is, again, his thing with the law. But There is not, and has never been, I'm pretty sure in any country, a speed limit on how fast you can run.
Yeah, that immediately seemed wrong to me, even before I realized the pollen was in play. And he just accepts it, because that's just how he rolls in this series.
Well,
Robotnik remembered it.
They could have got him on trespassing. I would believe that. Maybe he still shouldn't have obeyed it, but yeah. The only really, really big note that I have for this is that, Sonic gets sent to prison or whatever, and he does a jailbreak at the end, but he breaks everybody out. Which, was everybody in there for crimes they didn't commit? Because some of them might have needed to be in there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which is very funny when the PSA after that is about trusting the cops.
Yep. There's another bit where they were clever with the use of music, where the tension music is ramping up near the end of the episode, and then as soon as the pin pops the blimp, it just abruptly stops. Pretty funny.
Honestly, having music just abruptly cut out is one of the most underrated gags that a show or game can do. My favorite thing is that Dark Souls 2 keeps doing it accidentally, where it has this epic choir and symphony playing while you're fighting this disgusting monstrosity, and then the moment you beat it, it just cuts out and you're just standing there, and it's accidentally very funny every time.
No fade out or anything, well. This show doesn't follow actual logic, but I would like to have it known that Sonic is never actually cured of the hypnosis. He's just made to believe that he is himself. So, in theory, he still should have been, up for suggestion, but he seems to be cured for no logical reason.
If that, like, tripled the size of his ego, that would be very funny. But yes, he technically stays hypnotized for the rest of the show.
But they just forget about it or whatever, or they just don't care.
Well, and I mean, he hypnotizes some of the others into going after Robotnik or something. I don't remember what.
Yeah, the Road Hogs.
Yeah, which means that apparently overriding people's free will is okay if you're Sonic the Hedgehog.
That's right. The many crimes of Sonic are stacking together. He goes against morality, not the law.
The skunk guy with the orange hair just looks permanently coked up. His face is just wrong.
Yep.
Got the yellow teeth for it, too. Anyway,
wow.
Episode 58, The Robot's Robot. Scratch and Grounder build a robot of their own who soon runs away and ends up befriending Sonic.
I am impressed that in this episode, it shows that Sonic has really worked out how Robotnik operates in adventures. He outright states, "Oh, how are we gonna foil the plan? Oh, you'll just wait around, and Scratch and Grounder will end up screwing something up." And yeah, he knows how it works.
Yeah, it's like you'd think that in a darker show that would be like realizing the meaninglessness of your own existence. It's like, oh, he'll lose no matter what I do, which means that I never needed to be doing anything.
Yeah.
I've already made that joke like 4 times, but you know. Robotnik calls Scratch and Grounder idiots, but he still leaves a dangerous explosive with them.
Yeah. I mean, throughout the show, why does he trust them with everything he trusts them with? He should not. It's like Robotnik is marginally smarter than the two of them, but still is really stupid. When Scratch and Grounder are like, "Okay, slave, I mean, son." That got me.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Also, the robot just ends up being named Robot, which is like the least creative name ever.
That's literally the point, though, because Scratch and Grounder are coming up with clever names. They're like, "Oh, Robot," because they're not very creative.
I guess, but like,
I mean,
I would be happier if they just accidentally came up with something better. Or hell, let Sonic name it.
I guess.
Although he'd probably just call it Sonic Jr. or something.
I mean, it makes more sense with this, but I was always weirded out by the fact that when villains give names to villains turned heroes, they don't change their name. In the instance of Robotnik Jr., it still goes by Robotnik Jr., despite not being affiliated with Robotnik anymore. Anyway, this is one of the sort of perfect examples of why Tails' character is just amazing, because he just doesn't care about this show shenanigans as he reads the newspaper article. Parents seeking missing robot last seen leaving Robotnik's fortress, carrying a toothbrush, 2 pairs of extra underwear, and a highly unstable blammo device that could easily implode the entire planet. And he just isn't fazed at all by any of that. He's just done with the show's shenanigans.
I'll say he got really good at reading for a 4-year-old.
You're right. He was literally stated to not be able to read and write at some point, but I guess they forgot about that, or maybe Sonic taught him at some point off screen, honestly. That's fine. Another just moment that got me when normally Sonic is all about speed, but at one point he just screeches to a halt and then tiptoes behind Scratch and Grounder and just says "boo" and then scares them off a ledge. It's just random. I didn't expect him to use that tactic. Near the end, when Sonic and Tails got up to Robot and were like, "All right, now don't use the blammo to blow up everything." And then Robot is like, "Okay," and then because he doesn't know anything, he just throws it full force away. And then Robotnik suddenly swoops in and catches it. That moment was just like, what? I was so surprised by it, and it was a pretty unexpected way to suddenly basically not resolve the plot right then and there and have Robotnik suddenly swoop in again and become a threat. I liked it. It brought back Scrap Vella at the end to give as a home to Robot, which is, once again, nice continuity.
Impressive, not a bad decision, actually.
There's a Sonic Says segment at the end where Tails comes in with a hose, and he's got this really dopey look on his face. It's just funny. Anyway.
Episode 59, Tails' Tale. When Sonic mysteriously vanishes, Tails, Von Schlemmer, and a pilot named William Ledoux... Okay, I don't know how I made this mistake, but this character's name is William Leduc. That should have been obvious by the fact that he's a duck, but I guess I got his name wrong for some reason. Search for him in the Pyramid of Commomox. Sonic got sent to the astral plane.
He ascended.
Gonna find enlightenment.
Yeah. Man, Scratch and Grounder, I hate him, but I kind of like him too. Sometimes they got a dynamic where they're just two siblings. And when Grounder is trying to shoot when they're in the gunfight in the sky near the beginning, and then he ends up blowing up his own gun, which how? But he's like, oh, I guess I can hit something. And then Scratch, instead of like getting infuriated, he just gives like a sigh, like, oh, yeah, that's about what I expected. It's just pretty great.
Everybody's like slowly becoming acclimated to the tropes of the series that they're in, and they're not happy about it.
Yep. We mentioned in the summary William Leduc with that French accent and decently, although not as much, cowardly demeanor at times. It's very difficult not to draw parallels between him and Antoine.
I wonder if Sonic cartoons ever used that archetype again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Antoine is one of those characters that I think I'm gonna find myself really disliking throughout most of Sat AM, and then Antoine, in the later parts of the comics is like actually awesome.
He's that character type where he's absolutely pathetic for most of the time, but then the writers give him a few shining moments to actually make him likable.
Well, a different writer gave him shining moments. Mostly.
Okay, well, whatever. I don't know about the behind the scenes.
I know. We'll have fun with that, I think.
Anyway.
Robotnik in this episode tricks the king by lying about Sonic being evil, which just makes me think they robbed us of a Knuckles episode.
Well, he kind of did a similar sort of thing back in, Hilltop Hero, whatever that was called, with Captain Rescue.
Yeah, but this guy's at least in like a pyramid, which
yeah.
Knuckles Angel Island has pyramids on it. I don't know.
I was surprised at how the clues were there for a plot point with that I could have actually picked up on if I had thought this show was going to be that clever. When they're negotiating Robotnik and the king he's like going to give him a whole bunch of money, and then the king is like, oh, you should give me, this much, like 4 billion or whatever, and he's like, no, only 2 billion. And he's like, okay, fine. And Robotnik gives in pretty easily, and I'm like, what? That's kind of weird. But then later it turns out it's counterfeit, and so that actually explains why he wasn't negotiating harder. So the show impresses me sometimes.
Well, Robotnik is just really good at just the rug pull
true.
And just trashing on people.
For some reason, speaking of Robotnik, they decide just this once to give a secret compartment in the center of Robotnik's like buckle on his suit. So that's kind of interesting.
Maybe he just stores like cookies in there normally.
I could see that. There's a bit when Von Schlemmer is talking and he turns his head from side to side, but his mouth is always drawn on the side facing the camera.
Got like a Mickey Mouse thing going on, but it's especially warped because it's his entire mouth. Just imagine like his esophagus warping across the side of his face internally. Ugh.
Okay, I did not imagine that. I simply thought he was a wacky character. Let's move on, shall we?
The YouTube description for episode 60, Hero of the Year, is very funny because it says, Wes Weasley pretends to host a roast, in parentheses, actually a clip show, to Sonic that Robotnik uses to force his surrender. I'm going to guess that's not the official description of the episode, because they are meant to make it be a roast, but it is a clip show episode.
Yeah, so this was the final broadcasted episode. And so it's kind of like a celebration of the series with all the callbacks and returning characters, which is pretty cool. Although at the same time, a lot of the footage is just reused, so a little disappointing in that regard.
Yeah, it's really weird to have there be a clip episode of this show, because it's like when there's a new season of My Hero Academia and they need to recap the previous season, it's like, I get that. Especially since that's like a 15-minute thing that they aired before the first episode. This is an entire episode with its own storyline, and it means nothing. The only notes that I have are, I like Robotnik's pathetic party that has nobody there, and I like the line, I'll sink this ship if you don't give up, said by a guy who was on the ship.
Oh, yeah, so Robotnik holds, like, a ceremony of honor for himself, but, like, no one shows up, which also, that's weird, because he has more robots than just Scratch and Grounder. But it does lead to some pretty hilarious moments where he cheers for himself and gets, like, completely over-enthusiastic, like, smashing the table in front of him. It's amazing, honestly.
The main thing, for some reason, that I'm being reminded of is friggin' Marty McFly destroying the stage during the band performances in Back to the Future.
Yeah. Robotnik also declares that if anyone tries to get near Sonic under the ocean, that his oxygen will cut off, but that doesn't happen when Weasley saves him. So another 0 out of 10 episode, I guess. Disappointing. I am impressed, though, by Robotnik. Instead of just outright not giving Weasley what his end of the deal was, he instead gives him the shopping channel, but isn't allowed to broadcast. They're like, okay, yeah, that's an on-brand sort of a loophole.
Just saddle him with a useless product, yeah.
Yep.
Episode 61, Fast and Easy. A pickpocket named Easy Eddie picks at Robotnik's Chaos Emerald ring, much to his anger. Sonic must keep Easy Eddie hidden so that he can discard the ring. So, this is super weird after we had the Chaos Emerald time travel stories.
Yeah, I'm honestly a little disappointed. It kind of makes the Chaos Emerald seem less special when suddenly there's just another random Chaos Emerald. Like, sure, there's 4 and they have powers, but it still felt like they were trying to make them, something special. And even if they put a new spin on it, honestly, I thought it was an interesting spin. And whatever, if they want to be creative, that doesn't anger me when they're breaking game continuity in that regard. But when they're just randomly throwing another Chaos Emerald here that can, like, blow up the world or whatever, it's kind of boring.
Don't have a lot here. My main note is just variations on this pompadour greaser jerk is insufferable.
Yep. I know this isn't exactly an uncommon thing, but it kind of annoys me that Easy Eddie isn't actually drawn with a ring until Sonic discovers that he has it, meaning that the audience, couldn't possibly have seen he had it.
Yeah.
For some strange reason, this is the 3rd episode in a row that Von Schlemmer shows up in.
It's been around a lot lately.
No wonder, I guess he showed up later in another work.
Also, I'm very tired of people trusting Robotnik to honor a deal. It's happened so many times between so many different characters, and it's like, he never does it, ever.
Yeah, we're going to get to that again in next episode, actually, so maybe that's a good transition, but I agree.
Episode 62, Lifestyles of the Sick and Twisted, when Throbbin Screech Picks, that's a hell of a name. Okay, you know what? No, it's not me. It's the YouTube descriptions. I took all of the episode summaries from the YouTube descriptions. We've been having this problem as we've been going through Sat AM that some of them are just straight up wrong, and apparently they've also gotten character names wrong, so that's what's going on here. It's officially not my fault. Features Sonic on his talk show, Lifestyles of the Very Good. Robotnik kidnaps his unnamed niece, in order to be featured on the show. I like the unarmed niece better.
Yeah, they're usually pretty dangerous. This one has quite an attitude, but okay. So Throbbin's reaction to Robotnik threatening to burn his niece is, would it be all that wrong to let my niece be dipped in lava just to keep you off my show? Which is just so unexpected.
I know, he cares more about his TV show than his flesh and blood relatives.
Oh my gosh.
Which makes me think, are actual talk show hosts like that? Are we going to find out the secret dark side of Jay Leno? I don't know.
I think, if we were talking through this in broadcast order, this would be the first episode where Robotnik reveals their full name of Dr. Ivo Robotnik when he says, oh, no one usually asks for it, so...
It's a weird thing, because Robotnik is an obvious, name change to have given him, because he makes robots. Ivo is a bit weirder. And it's sometimes you hear it pronounced Evo, and then it makes you think they did that because it sounds like evil. But they say Ivo enough that I'm not sure if that's actually what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's got a ring to it, but...
No, I've never had a problem with either name for Eggman.
When Hecuba is disguised as Sonic, it looks absolutely hilarious.
I thought it was weird that, when they swap appearances, I realized, hey, Sonic hasn't been pulling any of the disguise bullshit recently.
I guess you're right.
I don't know, it was becoming less common at this point, which, would be cause to think, oh, maybe the show's really pulling it together. No. It's the same as ever. It's not even terrible, it's just it hasn't changed.
Other things I noticed on this episode are just hilarious bits of animation every now and then. There's a bit where Scratch steps onto the scene, and for no apparent reason, he steps on with a super stretchy long leg, which just isn't expected. But my last thought on this is the fact that the whole episode is Robotnik's broadcasting their plan as they're trying to stop Sonic, right? But he never takes advantage of that fact that he could see what Robotnik is doing to try and stop him. It seemed like what they would do, but they never do that.
I think that Eggman utilizing media or propaganda against Sonic is a good idea for the story, but that's just not this episode, and it's kind of a shame.
Yeah. Oh well.
Episode 63, Sonic is Running. When Mama Robotnik threatens her son into campaigning for Mobius presidency, Sonic decides to run against him. Her mustache is gone again.
Uh-huh. This is a pretty entertaining episode, I would say. A fellow inmate making fun of Mama Robotnik being the catalyst for this is just great. That's such a petty reason, but I love it. And then they bring in Wes Weasley, who it sounds like you don't like. I actually find him pretty amusing.
I think he works
like
in this
bringing him
episode.
Yeah, as the campaign manager, I think it's pretty logical. And the fact that, again, this show, the regular villains are pretty stupid, I guess, because they have to fall for every single episode. But Mama Robotnik and Wes Weasley actually make a pretty formidable combination.
Yeah.
And get Robotnik pretty far, I must say. And there's some callbacks. There's a callback back to Robotnik's wife in Sonic the Matchmaker. When he obviously gets a new wife in this one, he thinks it's a bad idea, and it is, of course. And let's see.
This episode is just it's weird because it's mid-90s political commentary in certain aspects, but a lot of it is still relevant. Because Robotnik's campaign, like, this is a little bit unavoidable, but his campaign is run on loving the flag, returning to simpler times, and family values, which is like, oh gee, that's a literal, explicit allegory for, something. And then Sonic's strategy for stopping him is to cross-dress to get Robotnik into a scandal for cheating on his fake wife.
Yes, this is the bit that I was talking about, where
that is bonkers.
That is bonkers, but also it's a little uncomfortable when Sonic is seducing Robotnik. That's so wrong. But yeah, that I didn't think about that, but yes, that's quite that's exactly what they're doing. Beyond political commentary, though, I think it's fun. I like Robotnik trying to like dress up in a sort of nice casual shirt. And look like, a nice family man, because he obviously has trouble with it and he screws it up every time. It's great though. Mama Robotnik really got the 300 IQ as she's like telling Robotnik, "What did I tell you? You conquer with cleverness and money, not brute force." And that's how it works. Like, yeah, for real.
Well, and it's probably should also be Eggman's MO from the start. It's weird that she needs to remind him of it.
Yeah. Scratch and Grounder gets some Secret Service get-ups, which is great. I just like the costume changes. It always brings a new flair to recurring characters. It's very satisfying to see Robotnik try to put on this facade the whole episode, and then at the very end he just cracks. He's like, "No, I don't even care," and he just starts shooting at Sonic. It's amazing.
Mask off moment. It's really weird because it's got this way out there in terms of the things that are implied by it, but actually watching this episode it's fun. It's a fun episode.
Yeah, and then it's almost like they tried for a sort of a loose arc with Robotnik and his mama, because I think pretty much almost entirely he gets a little angry in, I don't remember, the one where she almost beats Sonic. It's the one with the microwave towers. Yeah, he stands up to her a little bit, but in this one, it really feels like he's finally, like, next time she showed up, he would just stand up from the start, because she betrays him by voting against him, even when he's completely lost and has no votes at all, and then he's like, well, then I guess I don't feel so bad about betraying you. In every other episode, he hasn't done this. Someone else has, I believe. But he himself calls the people from the Mobium Asylum to go pick her up and takes her away. And I'm like, that is the perfect send-off for this character.
Character development. He had a whole character arc.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if you dig deep, there is some depth here to be had.
Maybe even just accidentally, but yes,
Yeah.
Good episode.
Definitely.
Episode 64, Robo Ninjas. Robotnik captures Kwai Chang Crane, a martial arts master, and uses him to turn Scratch and Grounder into effective ninja to defeat Sonic. I don't know when exactly the ninja craze became a thing. I don't think it coincided with Naruto. I think that was later. But it's weird to see it here. Well, obviously, if it's here, then it was before that. But I don't know. It's weird.
The faux Japanese accents are a little uncomfortable.
A little caricatured, yeah.
Yeah. I do kind of like the silly tidbits of wisdom, though, that are not wise at all. Honestly, a lot of them aren't very funny, but some of them kind of are.
Yeah, it's like you say Confucius, and then you just read something off the back of a Snapple cap.
Exactly, yes. Also, I also like that Crane's disciple is literally a young grasshopper.
Yes, that's like an actually good joke.
Yep.
Simple one, but fine. They at one point call Crane wise for not freeing himself, even though he could have whenever he wanted. And I just don't get that, because a bunch of people were put in danger because he didn't do that.
Yeah, so this is also in my notes where, like, through the episode, I was like, so Crane was able to defeat Scratch and Grounder easily, so he seemed like a real master. And then it looks like he doesn't even try to stop himself being captured, which is obviously the point. And so I was like, what is he doing? At first I was like, I think he's going to try to take all of his knowledge and trick Robotnik into putting him in Scratch and Grounder until they become, like, good guys or something. But instead, he was just like, no. The soup of adventure is best served with salad and a roll. And I'm like, what? So he just thought it would be fun, basically?
Ah, yes. That's responsible.
Very wise. Also, at the end, Robotnik's fortress explodes for no reason.
Oh, yeah, they don't actually do anything to make it explode, do they?
It just explodes. I often don't have anything to say about Sonic Says segments, but I do have in this one, where it's about not standing in the street and Scratch and Grounder get run over, but then Sonic and Tails go into the middle of the street to explain about not standing in the middle of the street.
The Sonic Says segments, people make fun of them because, they're the YouTube poops or whatever, but it's very funny in just that the nature of them is such that they sometimes have the thing that you shouldn't do be the thing that the villains are doing, but then they treat the villains getting punished for that as a good thing, which is like, even if you disobey your parents and you stand in the middle of the street, I don't think you actually want anybody to get hit by a car.
Yeah.
But in any case, episode 65, Sonically Ever After, the last produced episode of the series. Scratch and Grounder use a raid gun Robotnik invented to transport Sonic, Tails, and Robotnik into a book of fairy tales. When some of the fairy tales come to life under Robotnik's control, Sonic and Tails have to try and give them happy endings to stop Robotnik. When I read the title, Sonically Ever After, I thought, oh my gosh, this actually had a series finale and I didn't know it. No, this is just a normal episode. This could have been placed anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the episode, Sonic is like, it's no fairy tale, it'll see you again, and it's the last episode. It's ironic.
We're gonna get 100 more seasons. What are you talking about?
Oh, boy.
Actually, I have no right to talk because the show that I like better, Sonic Boom, ends with them making jokes about how they'll definitely get a third season, and then they didn't.
Oh, wow. Huh, interesting. But yeah, this is put Sonic in the title, and it's a funny title. Yeah, it's just that again. But as for the episode itself, they brought back the same dimensional rift effect from So Long Sucker, so there you go, reusing effects again. When they enter the fairy tale land, Tails gets a interesting change of costume, and
they force-femmed him. He's a girl.
They even give him cleavage.
Oh boy.
It's very odd. But anyway,
I wonder where those fan artists have possibly gotten any of their ideas.
Yes, you did this to yourself, Sega. Okay, so here's a bit of interesting lore. So you mentioned the series has magic, obviously, because like Merlink showed up earlier, and then in this episode. And Robotnik has a line where he's like, "What the fool I've been. Science? Magic is where it's at." Which is like, what does that say about his character? Does this mean that, like, he considered science and magic, as, like, a specialty, and then he went into, like, science instead of magic, and now he's realized his mistake? And they wouldn't do this, but imagine if the series went on and suddenly he, like, became a sorcerer or something?
He's respecking his character, yeah. It's interesting that you say that, because I don't know if you've ever seen the original production designs for SatAM. They're completely wild. They have nothing to do with Sonic the Hedgehog. They have Sonic, but Princess Sally is, like, a humanoid woman, I think, and Dr. Robotnik is an evil, ghoulish wizard. He looks like Ganon.
Oh, that is interesting.
And it's
Well,
like,
there you go.
it's weird because he's got the proportions of Robotnik, but yeah, no, he's a dark wizard, and it's like, why would you make this Sonic? How?
Well, they didn't, luckily.
Yeah, I guess that's it. I mean, it's not as incompetent as, like, you know, the original movie design, but it's just the most out there and strange as a thing that was considered.
Yeah. I already talked about Sonic saying there'd be more, and then there wasn't. There's another unusual thing about the end, which is that, unlike most episodes, Robotnik isn't really defeated. He kind of just loses the wand and then just walks away. And there's even, like, a sequel hook where he's like, oh, I'm going to bring the monsters in this book to life. It's just kind of odd.
Maybe that was supposed to be their next season hook. I mean, I guess if it was the last one produced, then it's not impossible.
Maybe. Who knows?
Tails goes from being a girl to being a dwarf, and then he gets poisoned, and I just wrote in my notes, this kid is going through a lot today.
Oh, yeah, he is. This is quite a wacky episode.
This is also the final instance of Sonic cross-dressing in this show to woo Robotnik. He dresses up as a princess. And that's the difference, is that when Sonic does it, he does it willingly. Tails just kind of gets shoved into these positions, and it's weird.
Yeah, Tails definitely doesn't have the demeanor to keep up with any of this show's ridiculousness, but sometimes he doesn't have a choice.
Yeah.
And that's all I got.
Episode 66, Sonic Christmas Blast. Robotnik replaces Santa and enslaves people to make him Christmas presents, so Sonic has to stop him. I had to write the synopsis for this one myself, can you tell? This was a different thing, basically. This was produced way later. It was after Sad AM had already started and ended. And it was closer to the time of Sonic Underground, which you can really tell because the animation is really different and feels weird.
Yeah, I know the animation felt like strangely more fluid, but also
there were a lot of weird drawings.
Yeah, it feels almost too fluid. Like it's like melting.
Well, it's more polished, but it's also more sterile, which is anti this Adventures of Sonic art style.
Right.
I have no eye for quality, so I can't really put anything into words, but I thought it definitely isn't the same style at all, but I think it looks nice.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
What's not fine is them trying to make a Christmas-sounding song out of the Adventures of Sonic intro.
Yeah, that was weird, and it sounded wrong.
Yeah, well, it's like the Adventures of Sonic music is weird enough as is. You know, a lot of the songs, you know, the Robotnik theme is very memed on, but, you know, a ton of the music is, you know, either a weird version of the Masato Nakamura Sonic 1 theme, but then also Hall of the Mountain King is all over the place, which we've talked about before.
Yeah, so, I mean, honestly, I thought the theme for this one was fine, and I was I'm biased because I watched these as I would have watched them if I saw them broadcast, and I watched the opening every single time. So a different one was a nice change of pace.
That's fair. I can see how that would wear on a guy.
A lot of the music in the series as a whole, because I didn't comment on it, but a lot of the themes are nostalgic, and most of them are kind of just, Robotnik's theme is a nice meme. But I don't know, I kind of like some of the tension themes.
They've got personality. It's not like they feel like they're from the wrong show.
No.
Yeah.
Unlike the rest of this episode, which does feel like it's the wrong show. So this episode brings in a whole bunch of Sad AM stuff for some reason.
It's utterly bizarre. I was like,
I knew that this happened, and because it's like, we've got Princess Sally here, sort of. I'll get to it. And, we talk about SWAT bots, and they go to Robotropolis. And so it's like, why is this show, like, slowly, like, having an identity crisis and transforming into Sad AM?
You're wrong. It's not Robotropolis, it's Robottropolis.
Did they say Robottropolis?
Yeah, it's really stupid.
Alright.
What show are we watching? They don't know, apparently.
So, yeah, I had to try to rationalize it somehow. And, I mean, all I got, really, because it's just a one-off, is it's either many years after Adventures of Sonic, or it's just an alternate timeline entirely.
Well, it's not as if any of this stuff is literally incapable of existing within Adventures of Sonic, because that show has no rules. They're definitely incapable of existing in the Sad AM timeline.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, Sonic, the whole course of this episode is strange, too. Sonic has to, like, do some, like, Christmas trials that give him the power to just steal the gifts back from Robotnik. I don't know why he couldn't do that before. I guess he has to be even faster to make it before Christmas.
Yeah, that's why. Is because he needs to be he needs to be, like, breaking, like, light speed to,
by Christmas Day, I guess.
I think it's actually supposed to be, like, infinite velocity, which is not physically possible.
No.
Yeah, so it's whenever you did the math about how fast you'd have to be Santa Claus and deliver presents across the entire world to everyone, and Sonic's
Christmas
not that
media
fast.
takes the date of December 25th extremely seriously when in real life, you know, even if I was a kid, if you gave me my present, you know, before, and if you notified me even a little bit after Christmas, I wouldn't be all that upset that it was not specifically on December 25th.
Yeah.
Yeah. More on that is, I thought, this really is an Adventures in SatAM hybrid, isn't it? Because SatAM tends to have, like, a lot of Mobian lore in it, and so Sonic's ring that is, like, explained on, like, the walls of a cave, that really feels like a SatAM sort of a thing more than an Adventure sort of a thing.
Yeah, maybe I should have been checking on the writers for all of these episodes, but I wasn't really paying attention to it. Because, like, Ben Hurst is a name that's very associated with SatAM, and I don't think he wrote this, but, you know, maybe I should be paying better attention to that.
If you're not going to come back to it, then I will. Sally's in this, but she has no lines.
She does not have a single line. I was going to get to that.
Oh, yeah.
Why was she here? You know, it's like, I knew that she was in this, and so I thought, oh, I'll put the Christmas special on the list, and then that'll be our nice transition into SatAM, because we're going to do SatAM next. But that's a terrible idea, because she is not a character here. She is a
face.
Thing for Sonic to give presents to, I guess.
Yeah.
Why? I can't even think of a reason. Why?
I don't know, because it's like, maybe they were trying to court the SatAM audience, but then just do a SatAM episode. I don't understand why.
Yeah.
Why would it matter if she spoke? What would that matter to the SatAM audience?
Well, just being able to see screenshots of Princess Sally, because people get really weird about Princess Sally, and so anything that she's in is heavily documented, which this still is by SatAM fans, just not as much as it would be if it were, you know, an actual episode.
Right.
Was this during SatAM's run or after?
I think it was after. I think this was, that's why I'm talking about Underground, is because the animation is much more similar to that, because I think it was much closer to that. I think this was in, like, 97.
Okay. Well, yeah, I get they should have done another SatAM episode instead then.
Yeah.
Which isn't to say that I'm not happy they made another episode of Adventures, but it is very strange to make it like a crossover. I guess they were trying to, like, do both. They were trying to, like,
bases at once, I suppose.
They were trying to do trying to do another entry in two shows that had both ended.
Yeah.
See, but the much more rational way to do that would be to just add Scratch and Grounder to SatAM, because that's the much more seamless transition.
Yeah, that's certainly true.
Because then you could have them get into stupid hijinks with Snively. It would be great.
But you know what? At least what I've watched of SatAM so far, Scratch and Grounder don't fit the tone of SatAM.
But none of the SatAM stuff fits the tone of. I guess maybe this is the whole problem. Maybe the whole problem with this is I'm just speaking from a biased place of liking SatAM a lot more.
Fair.
Yeah, though that doesn't do SatAM justice, regardless of what you hold higher than the other.
Yeah.
Well, Sally doesn't have any lines. I do appreciate the gag where Sonic, like, buries her in presents, lifts the one covering her face to kiss her, and then puts it back. It's like, this is your life now. Speaking
of presents, probably the best part of this is just to see Baldry as Robotnik one more time.
Yeah.
Doing a plot where Robotnik is impersonating Santa in order to take presents from people. That's a perfect Adventures Robotnik plotline.
Honestly,
it's the Grinch on crack.
Yeah.
Except without the change of heart, so it's like, whatever.
It's the Grinch on crack.
Except it's even worse than that, because the Grinch is a story about how materialism is not what makes Christmas what it is. And this is a story about how, if somebody tells you that story, just steal it back. The people of Whoville should have beaten the Grinch in the streets.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my gosh. And I also have to say that, because I just noted all the quotes that I liked from Robotnik, we get a final comically evil line where he says, happiness is always so much more enjoyable when it's based on the misery of millions.
That was a good line. I enjoyed that.
And they really gave all their bangers to Robotnik.
Truly.
I mean, honestly, I can't think of who else that they should go to.
No, I just mean they spent all of their effort.
I know. It's like, because Robotnik, strangely enough, is the most fleshed out character. Yeah. And it's like, all right, well, you can't really give the bangers to Sonic because he has the personality most of the time of like a brick wall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most of Sonic's personality in this show is catchphrases.
Yeah, and like just catchphrases and fast.
Yeah.
It's obvious that Robotnik was the writer's favorite character.
Yeah.
Which, you know what? I can't blame them.
No, he's our favorite too.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess Sonic does have one interesting character trait as of this episode. Because since this is the last Adventures of Sonic thing made, and they never talk about reassigning the position to anyone else, I guess the canonical end to the Adventures of Sonic continuity is that Sonic is Santa for the rest of his life.
Yeah, I mean, he's fast enough. He could do it a lot faster than Santa.
Yeah,
they don't
say
the light speed power goes away ever, so maybe that's just it. He just thwarts Robotnik in a matter of 0.2 of a femtosecond forever.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I'll take it because I care about the timeline and I want some closure. So yes.
Yeah. Well, with all that said, I think we're done with Adventures of Sonic. It was a
show.
It was a ride. I don't know if it was a great one, but it was at least fun to talk about, I think.
Yeah. No, I'll definitely say that.
It was fun to talk about.
We did get 6 episodes of strangeness about this, all in one recording session as well. So I guess Merry July, maybe? I don't know. It's going to be really awkward if I edit these together and the episode for this comes out in September or something.
Comes out right on my birthday on June 30th.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so next we are going to be doing a very different setup for Sat AM. We're just going to be talking about 5 episodes a week serially with that show, which is perhaps what we should have done with this show, but the slapdash hack together way that we did do it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think we're probably more willing to talk about Sat AM slower anyway, because it's a much more interesting show.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys just don't understand the deep Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog lore. That's okay.
Never will.
You know what? I will give you that. Talking about it made me sort of appreciate the show a little bit better.
Oh, wow. Okay. Good.
Lauren, you've fulfilled your duty. You've successfully poisoned his mind.
Don't worry, I'm sure watching the rest of Sat AM will completely change that.
Okay, well, whatever.
Download Lore Cure Pro. It's a joke because Lore and also Lauren. Sorry.
Yes, good job.
Well, to all of our watchers and listeners, thank you guys so much for accompanying us on this very strange journey.
A journey I shall never take again.
But to all you guys out there watching, hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next time.